Hey everyone, Ryan here at etrailer. Today on our 2020 Chevy Spark, we're going to be showing you how to install the Roadmaster custom fit stoplight switch. Before we do that though, let's just take a minute. We'll check this out and talk about if you'll even need one or not. So right off the bat, what a stoplight switch is designed to do is pretty simple. It's going to attach to your brake pedal arm in your Spark, and whenever you're flat towing it down the road, your supplemental braking system, pulls the brake pedal down to slow the Spark down behind your motorhome. And when that happens, what that stoplight switch is going to do is send power to your supplemental braking system's indicator light. And that little light will receive power, letting you know that the brake pedal is going being pulled down and your system is working properly. So that's really all it's designed to do. And if you're going to need one or not really just depends on what supplemental braking system you have. Today we have the Roadmaster Invisibrake, and the stoplight switch works perfectly with that. The Demco Stay-In-Play Duo would greatly benefit from using a stoplight switch like this as well. And I'm sure there's other braking systems out there too that could benefit, but those are just a couple of real popular ones that I can think of right off the top of my head. Aside from that, that's really the main purpose of the stoplight switch in a vehicle like the Spark. So if your supplemental braking system uses an indicator light and it needs to receive power from something, then that's where this kit would come into play. And you might be wondering, the factory stoplight switch, because all vehicles have them, that's when the brake pedal, when you're driving it and you push it down, there's a stoplight switch there that sends power to the brake lights, telling them to turn on. Sometimes you can get away with using the factory one, but the reason you can't with the Spark is because you have to disconnect the battery when you're flat towing, so it's inactive. All right, so really, like I said, if your supplemental braking system has those components, stoplight switch will come into play there. And they make it about as easy as possible to install. It's all custom fit, special brackets, utilizes hardware that's already under the dash, but you are kind of jammed up under the dashboard for a little bit of time trying to get this thing put in there. So stay patient, should be all right. And if this is something you're gonna install yourself, hang around, we'll go ahead and get going on it now. To begin our installation for our stoplight switch, we're first gonna be kind of prepping everything, and we're going to be working primarily underneath the dash over here on the driver's side. I like to try to wire as much as I can, just sitting in this seat as opposed to under the dash. Just makes everything a lot easier to get to. So on one of these ends, crimp on a butt connector. So we'll strip that back. Pretty thin wire, so be careful. But twist it up tight, and I like to kind of double them over there to give the butt connector something more to grab onto. Get that crimped on there. And then on one of the ends, doesn't matter which one, you can take the wire for your monitor light, your indicator light. That'll get crimped into one side. As far as the other side goes, the kit will come with a small bundle of red wire. We'll take that, crimp it in there. Just to touch base on how this works, because you will have to adjust it once it's mounted up and everything, and you can't hardly see what's going on. You have these nuts here that you can turn, which will push the switch closer to the brake pedal arm or pull it away from it. And what you're looking for, this little plunger here, whenever the brake pedal is just in its natural position, not getting pulled or pushed down, you want that plunger to be almost completely inside of the housing there inside of the switch. So if my finger's the brake pedal arm, it's in there. Once the brake starts to get pushed down, that plunger starts to come out, closing the switch and allowing current to flow through it. So that's how you're going to adjust this once that's the time to do so. We'll get this mounted up to our bracket. So this end is going to connect to a factory bolt under the dash. This is going to go through here. We have a couple of nuts, a star washer. Put that through, the star washer through. And I usually like to just kind of start this in the middle, you know, give you a bunch of adjustability and kind of work from there. When you do go to snug these down and adjust everything, this end will be a 17 millimeter and this one will be a 14 millimeter. As far as where we're going to mount the stoplight switch bracket underneath the dash, kind of by the steering column, there will be a factory stud with a 13 millimeter nut on it. I put some yellow marker on there just to make it a little bit more visible. But what you're going to do, remove that nut, take the bracket in, slide it over the stud, and reinstall the nut to keep everything secure. I got that switch mounted up, and it's definitely a little tight, but here's how everything turned out. With the bracket and switch mounted up and everything, that leaves us with one more wire that we need to hook up, this red one here. What you're going to do with this is it has to go to power. So in our case, we have the Roadmaster Invisibrake braking system, and I simply just tied that into the main power wire for our operating unit. Being that it's fused and everything and the switch draws hardly any amps, that's perfectly fine. Can't speak to other manufacturer braking systems, but if anything, what you can do is hook this wire up to a fuse directly to the battery, and that'll supply you with the power that you need. With all that wrapped up though, that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Roadmaster custom fit stoplight switch kit on our 2020 Chevrolet Spark.